Alright, so welcome back to the Cartoony jump tutorial. In this video we're going to focus on cleaning up the poses and finishing off the animation. So the first thing I do now is I make a camera, and that's because when I first started this demo it was really just for my students to see some timing. But now that I'm going to finish it off, I need to animate to a camera and create a bit of a set. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is set the scene up a bit better. And here I'm just checking that the starting pose is a bit more dynamic. Putting some fists in there, creating more of arcs, getting clearer silhouette, creating a bit more of a line of action, giving him a hero stance. Same thing here, just making sure it's more graphic. Here I want to lead with the foot more and drag behind the body, so I'm just pushing the foot a bit further forward, adding a bit of drag to the toes and dragging the body behind. And as far as my setup goes, I generally work with two cameras, just the perspective and the shot camera. Put a bit of stretch on the head, but it was a bit much, so I just reduced it a bit. Here I'm using the ghost tool, so I can kind of see the path and make sure everything's following a nice arc. And the cog's leading the action, so I'm having the chest drag behind. When I say cog, I'm referring to the center of gravity. Adding a bit of drag to the head and the foot here. I'm delaying the chest and adding a bit of squash between the chest and the hips. It's not looking too bad. Here I turn the legs off so I can just focus on the chest and the cog to make sure everything's moving nicely. Here I'm using the motion trails to tidy up the arc. Now I'm happy with the main animation of the body and do a pass on the arms. Here I'm shaping the hands to go into a dive position. Here I'm just experimenting with a few poses, seeing how I'm going to animate his left arm. Here I want to push with the arm, use the arm kind of to help the momentum, I suppose, and I want to bring the other arm around it and create more of an arc. So here I'm just checking the arc on the arm, making sure that it looks all nice. Once again, going into the silhouette mode, it's a lot easier to see. Now that I'm happy with the arms and the body, I'm going to bring the legs back in. I'm trying to make sure here as well that the feet are not doing the exact same motion, so there's a bit of separation between them. Here I'm using the graph to just check my spacing and make sure it's constantly moving forward. Now that I've moved the legs, it's overlapping with the arms. I'm just redoing the arm animation to make sure it's clear in silhouette still. Yeah, I want to delay the arm and create like a slap. So separation between the limbs, so it's not all moving one for one. So as the body comes up, the hands are coming around at a pretty equal pace. And I decided I wanted to stay in the silhouette mode, but it didn't really help my feet when I had it on. So I changed the color of the whole character to white so I could see the silhouette even when there was no lights in the scene. Here I decided to add some 2D effects. So just using some cubes in Maya I created a bit of a slap effect and I scaled them out and keyed each key and just moved them and scaled them. I did find that it was kind of getting in the way of the animation, so you'll see I'll tweak it a bit eventually. So here I want them to grow and get smaller. I tapered out the ends of the cubes to give it a more graphic look, make it a bit more interesting. So at this point I'm just having a bit of fun. Like I've got the main action going, so I'm just experimenting here. This was the first time I'd ever done this. It seemed to work pretty cool. I didn't have to do any drawings or anything like this, so it's pretty nice. Just to show some impact on the clap. And I wanted to give him some eyes, so I just created another cube and I parented it to the head control. But I created a group first and parented the group to the head control so that I could still control the geometry independently. Because once it's constrained you kind of lose control, so I made a group first. You can see here it's moving a fair bit and I realized it's because it wasn't on the head, so I was doing some weird behaviors. Once I added it to the head I was able to use it as I thought I should be able to use it. So I'm just using it to create like a blink and a bit of an anticipation to everything, you could say. So you know, he winds up and then when he comes here he goes into a squint to go down into the dive. That just helps sell the action a bit. And I wanted to do something for the foot as well because the foot's slapping down, so I thought I could just use the same animation and then put it on the foot, but it wasn't really working. So I guess you see I'm constantly going to whatever catches my eye to fix throughout the shot here. So sometimes, you know, you might be, once you've kind of got the cog working and then the main action, what's driving the action working, after that it's kind of just like freestyle for me. I won't go through, I will go through and do kind of like a pass on each limb, but after a while, after it's all working, I just kind of whatever pokes out to me as I watch it, I'll go fix it and watch it again, and then something else will poke out and that's what I'll focus my time on. So I kind of just move around the shot freely. It's kind of cool as well because then you're not working on the same thing the whole time. Here I wanted to add some more overlap to the arm slap, a bit of drag in the fingers. A tiny bit of bend in the legs. I don't think I kept that in there though. Here's my second idea for the 2D pass. Like an effect, was just creating like a half moon by rotating the cylinder. And it worked pretty well. I had to scale the building a bit so I could get a bit of growth, but I think it, a very cheap way of getting an effect without doing anything hard, basically. It's working quite nicely. Here, just fixing the rotation on the foot now to make sure it's coming up with the body nicely. Now I'm adding some multiples. So always just kind of like looking for a big gap and following the path of action. Here I'm doing a bit of stretch using a lattice deformer. Just experimenting here. I don't believe I kept them all. We're getting close to the end now. I don't add the multiples until pretty much the end, because if I was to change anything then I'd always have to update the multiples. Doing Play Blast to have a look, see if there's anything else. Flipping it to see if there's anything that catches my eye. I didn't like the way that the multiple was crossing through the leg, and you didn't really need it if you couldn't really see it, so I just deleted it.